Hello, friends, and welcome to Charlie's Creative Corner. Glad you could come by today. Not a whole lot going on, just trying not to blow away. The wind is like blowing all crazy. It's like blowing over our trash like 3 or 4 times. Finally, we just bungee corded it to the fence. So it's really windy. I wanted to go out and explore a little bit and do some fun things, but it's not going to happen in the wind. So not a whole lot's been going on, just kind of been doing day-to-day things. I haven't gotten to my, what do you call them, the carousel thing yet. I haven't finished it. I haven't finished my little rooster. I have one more rooster to do, and then maybe I can try and figure out how to get it hung, and we can do a video so we can all hang our little felt critters we made. I did waste a lot of time in the last 2 days. I made my first handmade rag doll, and it turned out really cute. I'll show her to you. So this is my little doll that I made, and I gave her little braids and a little string of pearls, and she's got a little coat on with buttons that actually button, and she's got a little mini dress with little underpants underneath there and some little shoes that tie. And so that's what I did for like 2 days. It's not something that I thought I was going to do, but I was like, I'm going to try this. It shouldn't be too hard. Well, she was way more difficult than I thought she was going to be. I hand embroidered her face and did her hair and everything. It was crazy. Dolls are really hard to make. I never thought that they were that difficult, but I guess that they are. So I worked on her. I also made a little teddy bear guy, and he was kind of difficult too, so I kind of struggled with him a little bit. But the thing with her was I got the pattern from a book, and the book was done on a grid system, and the grid system basically it's written onto it's supposed to be a 1-inch grid, but theirs is a 1/2 inch, and so I had to grid it over and draw out all the patterns and cut out all the patterns, and I think I did pretty darn good. For her being my first, I think I did pretty good. She's so cute. Isn't she cute? I absolutely just love her coat too. I thought the coat was adorable with all those little buttons on there, and so I was really happy with her. I didn't know what to do with the hair. I didn't have any yarn, so I was like, well, I guess I'll do felt hair. But that's my little dolly that I made. I might try some more out, and if you like her, maybe we can do a video. Let me know if you like her and want to learn how to make her. I can definitely show you how to do that. So maybe my second doll will look a little bit better. She looks a little wonky in places and little imperfections here and there, but that's okay. I like her the way she is. I think she's pretty darn cute. Pretty adorable. So that's what I did for like the past 2 days, 2 or 3 days, was drew up patterns and cut patterns and made a little doll. So I don't know, just something I wanted to do. I do like to do felt and sewing now and again. So that was kind of a nice little break from all the other crafts. But today, we're going to do something really fun today. I love to do this. I made so many of these back in the day. As you can see, hang on, there's one behind me. I'll grab you. It's an old one. Okay, so we're going to make Dreamcatchers today. And I made Dreamcatchers a long, long time ago. This was actually one that I made for my husband's grandma. And, may she rest in peace. She's no longer with us. So I was given the Dreamcatcher back after she passed away. And it's really old, and it's really looking kind of rugged. It's got a lot of pretty feathers down at the bottom here. And it's one of those double Dreamcatchers. Really beautiful Dreamcatcher. I love this Dreamcatcher. It is a beauty, but it has seen better days for sure. So we are going like, okay, one of the feathers is missing down here, for example. So we're going to do that today. We are going to make some dream catchers. And I love to make dream catchers. Now I wanted to use willow branches for my hoops, but I could not find any. And so I'm not going to be able to go the, like all natural route. I am going to have to use, hang on, I got to put this back. Shade is trying to grab it. Hang on. I'm trying to grab that. He likes the feathers. So I'm not going to be able to do all natural with them. I'm going to have to go with hoops, like metal hoops, which is okay. I'm okay with that. That's what that one was. And they turn out really pretty when you do that. So we're going to use metal hoops today. So in your craft store, you can usually find these metal hoops. Let me get a smaller one. Like this. Just regular little metal hoops. I ordered these. I think they were handmade because you can see the welding spot on them. But just a metal hoop. It can be any size you want. As if you're a beginner, I would recommend something a little bit smaller to start with. And just as a practice run, it doesn't hurt. These are really tiny. They might be a little harder to work with, but they're fun too. And they'd be cute hanging in a window or something. Now, as far as dream catchers go, dream catchers for a lot of native tribes is a very important thing, especially from childhood. And you want to respect that. So if you make a dream catcher, this isn't some trendy crap. This is an actual cultural belief and tradition, and you want to respect that. So if you make one, hang it in your bedroom. You know, hang it in, that one's just there temporarily because I wanted to bring it in and show you guys. And I did have mine in my bedroom, but my cat, that was the wind. Oh my gosh, that scared me. I had mine in my bedroom above my bed, but my cat jumped up to get them and scratched the crap out of my eyes. So they have been relocated, and that is nothing, I'm not trying to disrespect anything, but I don't need to be attacked in my sleep because a cat wants my dream catcher. So I tend to hang them either in windows or over my bed. And to me, I think that's the most respectful way to go about it. Now, this isn't something you want to like hang in your office at work or, you know, things like that. This isn't trendy. This is an actual cultural belief, and you have to respect that. So please, if you do make a dream catcher, try to respect that. Put it in a bedroom, put it in a window. Don't hang it from your car window or something like that. Keep it where it's supposed to go. Now, see, the legend with the dream catcher is the dream catcher is supposed to represent the spider web. And so what happens is in the night when you're sleeping, your bad dreams get tangled up in there, and then the good dreams are able to come through, so it'll help reduce your nightmares. And it's a very powerful thing, and it's a very culturally important thing. So try to respect that when you do this. And the more natural that you can go with it, the better. If you can't, that's not a big deal, as long as you keep it proper. You know, you don't want to disrespect another culture. You don't want to go about it the wrong way and you know, just disrespect that. It's not cool. So if you're going to do one, just make sure that you keep it respectful and take it very seriously, because this is a serious thing. It's important. And a lot of people I know lately, it's been a real trendy thing where they're like crocheting them and things like that. And you want to kind of try and keep it as close to the traditional that you can. You know, use some sinew, get some leather on there, get some beadwork, some feathers. Keep it kind of traditional if you can. Plus, I think they look way prettier that way. So that's just my opinion. Please try to be considerate of others. Now, Unfortunately, like I said, I had to get metal poles, but it is what it is. I am going to wrap these in leather, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. For your supplies, I'll turn you around and kind of show you what supplies you're going to need. I don't know if you've never made a Dreamcatcher. I'm going to try and be as I don't know. I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. And you're going to want some beads. You can do seed beads. You can do bigger beads. You can do whatever beads you want. You're going to need some feathers if you want to hang some feathers. You could do wood beads or shells. I like to use feathers I've found. Today I'm not going to be doing that because I have something planned out for those that I'm going to do on my own. But I did purchase, you can purchase feathers at the store if you need to purchase feathers. If you want feathers on there, you can get them at the craft store. You can get like turkey feathers and pheasant feathers. And I think these are duck feathers. I got some duck feathers here. So I like to keep mine as natural as possible. You can get dyed ones, and they do look really pretty. So if you want dyed ones, you can get different colors. So if you want feathers, you can put some feathers on your Dreamcatcher also. And you don't need a whole lot of supplies, but I like to decorate mine. You can also get little, you could do like a little fetishes in there if you wanted. You could do a charm or something if you'd like to put a charm in there. Just things that are important to you and mean a lot to you. They make wonderful gifts. If you want to make one and give to somebody, that's a great idea. And you can always put things that are meaningful between you and that person, or something that you know that they like. So if they like, say, eagles, you could do like a little eagle pendant or something in there with, they do have imitation eagle feathers that you could buy that you could hang from it. So like things like that, you could add a special little touch for somebody if you're making it for somebody special. I've made a lot of Dreamcatchers. They were just something I did for a really long time. And my first Dreamcatcher I made was all natural. It was, everything on there was something found in nature. And even the wood, I even took the wood and I formed the wood and let it dry and, wrap the webbing around. The feathers were all that I found on there. I think the only thing on there that wasn't natural was I put a couple beads on there that weren't, but they were beads I really liked, so I put them on there. But I really always enjoyed doing them, and I did some really elaborate ones. Like that one there it's the hoop with the hoop in the center. And I was debating on doing a tutorial on that today, but I don't think I'm going to. The one I'm going to do today is like a triple one. It's going to be really cool. But another one that I did like, it was like the hoop, and then I had a hoop on the side like that. And that's one I made for myself. I made that one for myself, and it looked really cool. It kind of looked like a little moon. It was really pretty. And so, you can do a lot of different things with these, but like I said, try and keep them as natural and respectable as you can. And a lot of it stems from where you hang them. And given your conditions, I don't know where you can hang them. If you can't hang them in a bedroom, then try to hang them near a window or something like that. Now, they don't take a long time to make. They don't require a whole lot of supplies. The supplies are pretty inexpensive depending on how elaborate you're going to go with them. Like I said, you can use the metal hoops like this. Another thing that you can use is, embroidery hoops. In the center there's a empty piece of wood. I don't know if I have a hoop nearby. I do have an embroidery hoops, but you have the one hoop and then you slide the other hoop on it and you twist it. Well, you take the one off with a little screw and you can use the center piece and wrap that and use that as your hoop also. And I mean, you wouldn't even really have to wrap that one because it'd be wood and it'd be really kind of pretty. Normally, traditionally, they would use willow branches from the willow tree. And basically you go out and you can find if you can find a weeping willow tree somewhere, You can take a couple of branches and snip them off of there, and then you wrap them, and then you let them set for like 2 or 3 days and just kind of let them dry out, and then they'll hold that shape. And then you can put your web inside of that. And I really, really want to do that. If I do find one, I'll try and do that eventually, but I haven't found one yet. I know in my hometown where there's a lot of weeping willows, and maybe if I go back home anytime in the future, I will go and snip a few or something. That'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be really cool to make them that way. They look really cool when they're natural like that. And besides that, I think that's pretty much the basics. I'm going to turn you guys around and we can go over supplies and what we're going to need to start our dream catchers. All right, so as far as supplies go, now I'm going to make kind of an elaborate dream catcher today. So I'm going to use 3 different hoops, and they're going to hang. I don't know how much you can see. I hope you can see. And I'm going to hang them from each other. Now, the size of my hoops are, we have this looks like a 8-inch, a 6-inch, and a 4-inch, okay? And then I'm going to also take these 2 little guys, and they're going to kind of hang off to the side, okay? So this is going to be a really elaborate one. These are 2 inches. So we have an 8-inch, a 6-inch, a 4-inch, and 2 2-inch hoops, okay? Now, you don't have to make the same one I am making. You could just do a single one. You could do a double one. You could do 2 of the smaller ones. You could do a double little one. It's really, the possibilities are endless with how I'm going to go about doing this. They're really easy to connect one another. You could do 2 of these with a couple of these. It's entirely up to you. You could do a smaller one with 2 smaller ones hanging from it. Just go out, get yourself some hoops. These hoops are really inexpensive. You can get these. I know my craft store has them. I can't remember. The only craft store we have here is Hobby Lobby, and I can't remember where they keep them. I want to say they're right next to all the leather work stuff. So, and like I said, you can also use embroidery hoops, and those come in different sizes also. You can get, I think, up to a 14-inch on those, if I remember. And even if you get, for example, they do have plastic embroidery hoops. Say you can't find these, okay? And they do have wooden embroidery hoops, and they also have plastic embroidery hoops. You could use the plastic embroidery hoops and just wrap the plastic hoop with leather, okay? No one's even going to know, oh, that's an embroidery hoop. They won't even know. It will be covered. So I'm going to use these 5 different hoops today. I won't sit and string them all and do them all on film, but maybe a couple of them. And so you're going to need some hoops. Any kind of hoop you can get. Now, the next thing you're going to need is some leather. Now, you can buy leather lacing at the store, and I think it's kind of pricey to buy it by the spool, and you're going to need a lot of it. I cut my own, and these right here these are pieces that I've cut, okay? And so basically what I do, let me get these out of the way here. I take my leather. Now, this is entirely up to you. It takes a little more time. It's a little more time consuming, but trust me, you're going to save. If you have leather at home and you know you have enough of a color to cover the hoops you're going to use, you're going to save $12, $15 cutting your own leather than going out and spending money on it. And the way I do it, I just go down, I get a nice long strip. I have a nice long strip here, pretty long actually. And I just I make a little snip, and I don't measure it or anything. I just make a little snip on there, like that. I don't know if you can see here. I hope you can see me here. And sometimes it helps. It's hard to show on film, but I will hold kind of this piece here as I cut. And that kind of helps keep it in line. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope you can see that. But I just kind of give it a little strip. And you don't want to cut it probably any thinner than that. And that is, I don't know, probably 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, about 1/4 of an inch. I wouldn't go any smaller than that because it's gonna tear, and you don't want your leather to tear. And you can just go all the way down your strip of leather and cut it. And it takes a minute. Yes, it's going to take you a little bit more time. But if you can't afford to go out and spend money on crafts, this is a good way to do it. Now you can also cover your hoops with other things. I mean, you could get creative, but I think the leather looks the best on the Dreamcatchers. And I would recommend cutting your own because it's way easier. I mean, it's just way more inexpensive. You're not going to be spending as much. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just going to be to wrap it and to hang things from. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. And not only that, but the imperfections, I do believe, make it look really nice. And that might sound silly, but if it looks too perfect, it looks less natural because nature isn't perfect. And there are imperfections in nature. And sorry, I got to hold this up to do this last little part here. And I just think the leather looks really nice. Now the straps are going to be perfectly cut. They're going to look absolutely perfect. But that's up to you what you want to do on that. If you want to sit and take the time to cut your strips, then take the time to cut your strips. If not, then go out and get some straps. Because, I mean, they don't look really any different than what you would buy at the store. Because this is all we're doing with this is we're going to use this to wrap that metal. Okay, so we're going to need to cut a few of those. Now, the next thing you're going to need is a hot glue gun. Now, I have this thing's so old, it's been around the block. And you're going to need this to glue on your leather straps to the metal. I like this gun because it has a low setting and a hot setting, like a really high setting. And I keep it on the low because then it doesn't burn my fingers. And it actually, it keeps my fingers from getting destroyed. And some glue sticks to go with that. And then the next thing you're going to need is some feathers. And my feathers I got these, they're earth tone turkey plumage. Really pretty little feathers. They aren't very big. They're a little smaller, okay? These are kind of smaller little feathers. They're kind of nice and downy, though. They have some good fluff to them. I kind of like the fluffier looking feathers on the Dreamcatchers. But there's also, I got some, these are duck wing quills, natural. And these are a little more longer, larger, kind of more sharper end feathers. I thought those were really pretty. You can pick whatever feathers you want. I've seen it done with the dyed feathers. I've seen it done with feathers that people have found. I've seen it done with peacock feathers. And so you just get creative and you pick whichever feathers that you like. And you're also going to need beads. And it doesn't matter what kind of beads you pick. You can pick whatever you want. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I should probably pick out my beads so that I can add them as I go. I like to add some seed beads onto my web as I weave my web. Sorry, get a drink there. So I'm going to plug in this glue gun and get that warmed up. And then I'm going to show you how to hoop everything together. Oh, I dropped one of my hoops. Oh no, that was a different one I had. When I do my glue gun, I keep it under a kind of a piece of stronger paper so that it doesn't get all over my desk when I use it. I'll let that warm up there. Oh, and one more thing. You're going to need the stringing for your web, and I'm going to use imitation sinew. Now this you can get in different colors also. You can get them in any color you like. I like more natural looking, but you can get, I think there's a black and all sorts of different colors, white. They can dye this. So the sinew is nice because it's strong. It's got that waxiness to it, and it holds really well. So I would recommend sinew. If you don't have sinew, you can use also like a hemp or some kind of string. You don't want your string too stretchy because then it'll warp it and it won't look right. But you want it strong, and you want it, something that's going to try it out, see what you have. I wouldn't use like a yarn or anything like that. Hemp, I would say, would work really well because hemp is nice and strong and holds form really well. So a few other things we're going to need scissors. I think that may be it for what we're going to need. I'm going to let this glue gun warm up, and then I'm going to pick out some beads. So I'll be right back. All right, so I got my beads all picked out. I'm not 100% if I'm going to use the white. That's a maybe. And then I have also picked a brown. It looks red, but it's like a reddish brown color. I thought that would go really pretty with those reddish orange feathers. And then I also picked out my dark brown. I want to go real natural with this one. I think this is going to be a really pretty little natural Dreamcatcher here. Then I also picked out, these are little bone cylinders, not cylinders, but disc beads. So those are little bone disc beads there. And then I picked out some hair pipe bone beads. I think I'm going to use those on the sides. And then also these pretty little, I don't know what these are. There's this little, pretty little stone beads. I don't know what they are. They almost look like a jasper or something. Very pretty stuff. And then I also picked, these are just a random kind of here and there, different colored, get some light on this subject. My goodness. There's all sorts of different little, tiny little random sparkly shiny beads. I want some sparkle in there. And to add a little more sparkle, I picked out this, this is little like, it's like honey brown colored goldstone. You probably can't see the sparkle in that, but they sparkle like gold. They're beautiful. And then I also picked up these little, these are little cat eye beads. I love those. They're so cool. So those are my picks. Now, that's the fun thing about Dreamcatchers is you can add whatever beads you want to it. And the beads really add that special touch to them. So, looks like my glue gun is all warmed up. So we will get this party started. I'm going to actually move some things off my desk. I need some more space, so 1 second. Okay, that's a little better. Open up a little space. So now we're going to need our hot glue gun. This bad boy here. I got to back you up just a little so my cord can get through. There we go. And we're going to need a hoop. So I'm going to pick this little guy so it's a little faster going with getting it wound. Now you're going to need some of your leather strapping, your little leather lacing here. And basically, what you're going to want to do, now the hoops get kind of cold when they're metal. So you can't go and put a giant strip of hot glue because it's going to cool before you get to the end of it. So I go a little bit at a time. I'm going to bring you in just a touch here. I think that should be good. And what I like to do, I get my strip here, and then I take my glue gun. Sorry, itch my nose there. And I put just a little bit on there, about like that. And I take my strap and I stick my leather on there and I bring it around and you want to line it up real good next to each other, like that. Now it's up to you if you want to do the smooth or the rough side, depending on what your leather looks like, what you got. And it's up to you, however you want it. I'm not picky about it. I really don't care either way. I think this one's kind of the same on both sides. And then see, that already cooled. Look at that, and hardened up. So you want to kind of go little by little when it comes to these metal poles, because they cool off fast. You kind of got to move somewhat quick with them. And I kind of use a pretty good amount of force to kind of press that glue down so that it is kind of even. Because see, otherwise you get kind of a bumpy, bigger spot. And you just do this all the way around your hoop. And you want to make sure that you're getting everything covered, that leather is real close to each other, so that all the metal is covered and nothing's coming through. Now you don't have to worry so much about the glue, because the glue will come off, like the little stringies and things like that. It's hot glue, so it cleans up pretty well. And see how my leather, it's a little thick here, a little thin there. It doesn't matter. And when it's being wrapped around, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference on that. Like I said, just go a little bit at a time. I glue all the way around because I want to make sure that that strap's going to stay on there. You don't want to go to all the work of webbing and all of that just to have it come apart and not hold, and then your Dreamcatcher's ruined. And I know there's probably a lot of tutorials out there on how to make a Dreamcatcher, but I thought I'd share with you how I do it. And I'm going to share with you how I'm going to do this elaborate one today. Or just kind of craft along today. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a tutorial or more of a let's just hang out and craft. It's my day off, so I just want to hang out and craft with you guys, because that's what I enjoy doing, and I enjoy sharing it with people. So and if you have multiple hoops, I like to do them all at once and get them all wrapped at once while I have my strapping and my glue gun hot. That thing never stands up. I don't even know why it has the little legs. It always falls over on me. Sometimes I found that it stands better without the legs out. Nope, it ain't gonna stand. It ain't gonna do it. And I always put a piece of cardboard or paper or something underneath that glue gun, or you're gonna have a mess on your table. I've learned my lesson on that one. When I did some paper craft, magazine craft. Learned my lesson quick on that. I think I need a new stick on there. New stick of glue. See, now with my glue gun, it doesn't get hot. So if it's like the glue's coming out like that, I can wipe it off. With my finger, it won't burn me. If your glue gun isn't like that, then don't do that. It'll burn your fingers. Well, I thought I had another stick out here. I bet it went running. Yep, it went running under. Everything goes underneath my computer keyboard. I guess there is one in there. Okay. It's just acting funny. And I can show you what to do when you reach the end of your leather strap too, if you're not completely wound around the hoop. I think I'm going to need just a little more after this. Yeah, I'm going to need a little more. Now this end, I don't like how it's, see how it's like crooked? I'm just going to cut that straight like that. That one looks nice and straight there. And it helps like when you have a strap to have the end cut straight so it can be lined up proper. I'm going to put just a touch on there to hold that, because I want these to line up perfect. Now, I'm going to take my strap here and see how I cut that where it's straight. I can just line that up right there with that. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little glue. Right. I'm kind of shaky, sorry. Put a little glue right there. And I'm just going to line him up right like that. There we go. And so that's how you attach another piece of lace if you need another piece. You just keep wrapping. Keep wrapping around and around. Easy enough. And it looks really nice. How nice that looks. Looks so pretty. Okay, I got a little bit left here. I'm going to peel off that excess. That's why it doesn't matter if your leather straps are perfect or not, because no matter what, thick or thin, that little kind of spiral looking design is going to be there no matter what. Now, we're getting close to our end here. We'll do this last little spot. It looks like it lined up real pretty. And that's lined up there. So I'm just going to put a little dabble do ya right there. And I'm just going to hold that for a second, kind of let it cool and dry. There we go. Now, if you want, you can, whoops, bump into stuff. You can leave this leather strap here and like tie it around and make that your hanger. I'm not going to do that because I'm hanging all of mine together. So if you want to do what I'm doing, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you are making one, say you're making one at home and you just wanted to watch the video to see how it's done, you can make that your hanger if you want. But what I would do if I was to do that, if you want to use your leather strap when you get to the end of your hoop as your hanger, what I would do is I would take it and I would just wrap it on top of itself a couple times. If I was going to use that as my hanger, I would wrap it like that. Not too many times, you don't want a giant thing, but you know, just to make sure it's going to be wrapped around a little bit, and then I'd glue that just to make it sturdy. And then if you wanted to, you could use this as your hanger. But I'm not doing that today, so I'm cutting mine off. I did that on my last one that I made with my, with the bird feathers. I had my lovebirds feathers. And that is how you wrap your hoop. And then, you know, clean up any of the excess little strings from your glue. And there it is. It's that simple. It's so easy, easy peasy. And then I have a bunch to wrap here. I have to wrap all of these. So I'm going to continue wrapping mine. And then I will show you how to do the webbing on the inside and beading and decoration and to put multiple hoops together or whatever if you want. So if you are doing like me, where I'm doing the 3 from bigger to smaller. So if you're doing like that with me, then wrap the rest of your hoops. And I'm going to do these 2 little itty bitty guys too. So I have 4 more to wrap. If you want to do a double, you know, that hang double, then I'd wrap your other guy. And then we will continue on with making them, and I'll show you how to do the web. So I will be right back. I'm going to finish wrapping the rest of my hoops here. So I have my hoops all leathered up here. I put you can put your hot glue gun away and things because we won't need that anymore. That was just for our wrapping of our hoop. Now, I do have another one here. I kind of took a little break and had a little time off, and I already have done one of the itty bitty little guys here. You don't know if you can see him, but I already did one of the little ones here. Now, you're going to need your sinew, and then you're also going to need any of the beads that you might want to put in the hoop with the wires. So, or in the web. So within the web, any of the beads that you might want to add to that, you're going to need those. So grab whatever beads that you're going to use, and we will get to wrapping here. Now I think I'm going to use, I think I might do one of these, not the tiny hoop, because that's going to be a little hard to see. But I think I might do this little guy here to kind of demonstrate, because the bigger hoops are kind of hard to see when you're filming. So I'm going to go with probably this little guy here. Now, what you can do is I like to do a 1-inch diameter in between to make my gaps. So these little gaps here, like, hope you can see that. The little gap here, the little gap here, and all the way around. I like to do a 1-inch on that. So what I like to do, you don't have to do that, do what I do, but I like to cut out of my lacing just a little 1-inch piece of lacing. And that way, as I go to put my first row out on the outside of my web, I can just lay that on the outside of my hoop and kind of gauge. And it makes it a little more accurate, and it also adds, makes it a little more geometric. You know, that way it's a little more accurate. You don't have big weird gaps, and everything is lined up nice and even along those edges, okay? So you need to grab your hoop, and then you need to get your sinew here. And as far as the sinew goes, you know, for that little one, I barely needed anything. For this one, I'm going to do probably a wingspan, and that might be too much, but it's better to have than have not. So wingspan from one arm to the next, and then spread both your arms out. So I'm going to do a wingspan of sinew for this little guy here. Now, to begin, I'll bring you in just a touch. What you want to do is you want to take your sinew, and you just want to tie a knot at the top of your, or anywhere, it's a hoop, so onto your hoop. So tie a knot, and I like to do a triple knot because I want to make sure that this web is going to be strong and last a long time. So you're going to want to do a few knots, and then once you're done with that knot, you want to kind of pull down and bring that knot to the inside of the hoop, okay? You don't want it on this side. You don't want it over here. You want it down on the inside of your hoop, okay? Double that knot there. And I'm going to cut off this itty bitty little tail here. We don't need him in the way. So we'll get that out of the way there. Now it's up to you what you want to do with beads. You can make different designs with your beads. You can just kind of randomly add beads. You can do big ones and large ones, or all small ones, or all large or big ones. This one I kind of did a little, I guess you call it like a little wing pattern, a little swirl pattern in there, which I like that pattern in them. It really makes them look pretty. And that one I can show you how to do that one if you want. Let's see, for me, I like when I do the swirl pattern like that, I need to check. Let me check and see if I have any more of these beads, because I might need a few more of those. If I have more, let me check. And, you know, the size of your bead is going to also be determined with how far you can go in with your beads. You know, the more you go in, the smaller that hole is going to get to hold those beads. So if you're doing larger beads, I would recommend doing them more along the outside of your hoop. And if you're going to do small beads, then I would recommend doing within the hoop, more towards the center of the hoop. I forgot I had these. I'm going to go with these these little gold stones. Those are so pretty. I got to dig a few out. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to add different beads, but I'm going to add a few different ones here. And of course, I have them mixed up with other ones. Isn't that how it goes? And it's good to kind of plan out what beads you want with what feathers, or, you know, if you want certain colors. It's always good to kind of have a little plan as far as decorating everything goes. They're really fun to decorate and put beads on. That's actually probably the most fun part of this. Now, I am going to add a bunch of those guys there. So I got a few of those. I think I got a few more. If I need a couple more, I have a few more in there. So I like to add, I'm going to add beads right away. So I'm going to pick up one of these I just dug out. Hopefully this knot or this thread will go through this tiny little hole. And it did. Thank goodness. So I'm going to put one of those on. And you don't have to put a bead on first. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Now, to get started here, this is really simple. It's really fun. Now, I'm going to grab I'm going to grab my 1-inch piece of extra scrap there. So I'm just going to have that little 1-inch one of there. You could always use a ruler, but I find this easier because it actually hugs the hoop really nicely. You can also use a flexible tape measure or a ruler or what, I don't even know. I never know what these are called. So now what I want to do is you're going to want to take your thread here and you want it over the hoop. So go over the hoop with it, okay? And then grab your end, your tail of your thread, and then bring that underneath and behind. So you want to bring your thread over, take your tail behind and underneath, and then come up and in between the hoop and the thread, okay? So you're going to want to bring that. Now don't pull it tight right away. Just pull it through gently. And then I'm going to take my little 1-inch measure scrap here. This is an inch. And I'm going to put that where that thread is, where that sinew is. And I'm going to set it there. And that kind of gives me a gauge of where to put my thread. So I'm going to bring my thread over to the end of this, like that. And then I'm just going to pull. And you don't have to pull like incredibly taut, but you want a little bit of tautness to it. And now we're going to do that again. So we're going to take our thread and we're going to bring it over the hoop. So bring it over the hoop and then take your tail and go behind, under, through the hoop, and in between. Always make sure that your loose sinew, the piece you're working with, is in front of you and that your tail is in between and behind it, because that's going to create that little kind of half knot that makes the web. And I'm going to put my strap on there and kind of see where I'm at and where I need to be. And you can kind of loosen this by pushing on this and pushing on the loose end, and it'll kind of loosen it up if you need a little more space. And I also like to, as I measure, say that's where it's going to go, which it is. I put my finger on there so it doesn't move. Okay, but silly me, I forgot to add my bead. So I'm going to add my other bead here. Hang on. Totally spaced that one. I'm going to put that bead on there. And yeah, I can add a bead now that even if I have threaded looped everything, because it can just go right on there like that. And I'm going to double check here that this one didn't move. Nope, we're good. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring it over and measure it. And then we're going to make sure we're lined up. Looks good there. And give it a gentle tug. Like that. It might look a little different with the beads, but this is how I want to do this little one here. So I'm going to add another bead onto that. I hope I have enough. I think I do. Just stick that on there. There we go. And then we want to go again. We want to go over, bring our tail underneath and through. Whoops, I got caught. And through, like that. And like I said, you can adjust as you go. And you can even go back and adjust a little bit, a couple webs back, if it's not to your liking of where you need to be. And that one did kind of go a little too close for my liking. I'm going to push him over just a touch. Kind of give him a tug. Once you get the hang of this, it's so easy and they're really fun to make. So once you get the hang of it, and I like to measure mine because I like to have a nice circle center, but you don't have to, and it doesn't always turn out perfectly circle center, or the center doesn't always turn out to be perfect, but that's okay. I like to have it at least somewhat even. Just, that's my personal preference. So I need to get a drink of water here. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Now we're going to go again, put our bead on. Here we go. Pull through, and then we go over, and then we bring our tail under and in between, like that. And that'll create our little loop. Just like that. I'm going to measure where I want to be. You know, you don't have to be too aggressively tight when you go, because as you go, these have a tendency to kind of tighten themselves. It's just kind of how the setup is, how it's made. It kind of tightens itself up. See how easy it is, though, with that little piece of leather. It really makes it simple for measuring. Makes it nice and quick. You know, it's kind of hard and awkward to do it with a straight ruler. Kind of makes it difficult. Sometimes the sinew will get a little frayed at the end too, where you're putting your beads on, and you can always just trim that a little bit, and it'll give you a nice sharp edge again. Okay, measure this here, and like I said, holding down the sinew with your finger as you pull helps it keep it in place where you measured it. Just like that. There we go. And you can do so many wonderful designs with these. So many different, there's so many options, especially when you have your beads and everything. And you can also do things from nature too. Things that you found. You could do some bones and feathers and anything that you found. See, I found a bunch of feathers, but I'm going to use those for a later project. So I'm not going to use those today. But it makes it almost more fun when you use things that you found, because it has more meaning. It holds a little more meaning to you. And we'll do our little measure here. Perfect where it is. And to tighten it, if you want to tighten it, you can pull down and then kind of pull back up. So straight down and then kind of give it a little tug up in the up direction, and that will give it a nice secure. It'll tighten it nice and securely. Another bead on here. I think I might have grabbed just the right amount, amazingly. And you know, this doesn't have to be a complicated thing, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look perfect and uniform. I just like to have my outside edges nice and even, because it does help when you get to the center part of it. It helps line up the center a little bit better, and it keeps your web looking a little more symmetrical. Almost to the end part here. And of course, obviously, the larger your hoop, the more webs that you're going to have. And you might want to go a little bigger with your spacing for your gaps with your first round. If you have like a big, like 14-inch hoop or something, you're going to want a lot bigger spacing, or it's you might not even get to the center because it's going to get so tight and those holes are going to get so small. If you know, you can always measure it too and kind of try and divide it up evenly if you want. But for me, that's a little too mathematical and I don't think it needs to be that technical. It's a Dreamcatcher, you know, but just try and make it a little bit larger if you have a larger hoop. And that way you won't struggle so much. And your the holes aren't going to get so tiny that you can't work through them or put beads on or anything like that. You want to be able to put your beads on. Even that one looks a little small, but that's okay. Ooh, it looks really pretty so far. Alrighty. It's got really cold out of nowhere. I don't understand what's going on there. It was trying to snow the other day or night. I was just like, are you kidding me? I don't want that. Okay. Almost to our end. Maybe one or two more here. And it does seem like there is a little confusion when we get to the end with some people. They kind of get confused, but it's real simple. This should be our last one here. Let's see where our 1 inch is. About right here. Now, when we get to our end, some people think you have to match up with the sinew where you started, and you don't. You don't have to do that. There's no reason at all for that to be done. I mean, if you want to, you can. I find it turns out a little bit nicer when you don't. I'm going to move this just a touch over. There we go. I like to have a little bit of a gap here. Okay, that's just me. That's how I like to do it. Still just a little pinch over the inch mark. There we go. Now, it's really simple. All you have to do is instead of going to into the around the hoop, you have to go around your sinew. And if you put beads on here, you have to determine, do you want them to hang down like that? Or do you want them to hang up? And the reason I say that is because you have to put that thread onto this web right here. Okay. So if you're putting your thread onto this web, where you put that thread is going to bead and thread is going to determine where your bead is going to lie. Okay. Now I want mine up. So I'm going to push mine up to the top of that thread. And then I'm going to take my tail here. I'm going to stick it in between the hoop and this first web. Right there like that. Just stick it in between there. Then with my other hand, I just kind of like to bring that up and pull it through. Okay. And you're going to want to center that on the center of this first web that we put on. So you want to center that right there like that. Okay. And I'll show you that again. So we're going to go over to our next one. And we're going to put I'm going to put my bead up because that's where I want my bead. Pardon me. And then we grab our tail, stick it through in between this hoop and the web, So stick that in between there and kind of, I like to just use my finger to kind of bring up the sinew, and I grab that tail and just pull through. And you want to center that in the middle of that web. Now, you want to always make sure that this one before is going to stay where it's at, because sometimes it slides around a little. That sinew, it's waxy, so it's a little thick or slick. So you want to make sure that that's not sliding around, that that's going to stay in its place. Now that bead's already kind of where I want it. Sometimes I hold that there. That kind of helps. Bring that in between and bring your tail back up and through. And I like to kind of pull towards me and kind of down and then back up a little bit. Okay. And just keep working your way around the web. Like I said, if you're going to use larger beads, this is the time to put on your larger beads. And you can kind of adjust it. See how my hoop's over here? You can kind of pull it and slide it as you pull and kind of adjust it as you're pulling. Kind of like that. Just keep working your way around and always make sure if you put a bead on, it's on the right side that you want it on. It's going to hang and lay down where you want it. I'm just going to keep working our way around the web here. Move my bead up. Just always make sure that that last end, see the end that's coming away from where you've put your web, is on your side, and that your tail is always on the other side, and you're going to go in between the web that's been strung and the web and the end part of your thread. I hope that makes sense. I hope. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. So when you bring it up, make sure it's going through here, like that. So that's what we got so far. We're getting there. And I'd always recommend to always leave a hole in the center. It's that's where you want your good dreams to come through. So always try to leave a hole in the center. And even if it's a tiny itty bitty little hole, you always want to have a hole in the center. You don't want to seal up the center of your dream catcher, because the purpose is to have the good dreams come through. You don't want to just capture the bad ones. I don't think I gave myself enough sinew. That's all right, we'll fix it. We'll make it work. Somehow or another. Like I said, you can be very creative with these. There's a lot of possibilities. And they're really fun to make. I made so many different kinds. Make wonderful gifts. People just love receiving dream catchers. See, there's our third row there. Okay, I put a little more sinew on there. I used a carrot knot to hold it. That way it's not going to bend or move or anything. All right, so I got a lot more sinew here on my hands. So I'm going to take my end here and I'm going to wrap that gently around my fingers like this. Don't do too tight or you'll cut off your circulation. Just get a good amount on there. Okay, and then I'm just going to slide that off. And the sinew will hold that together. And that's a great way to keep it all in line if you have an extra long tail. And it'll slide in between everything too. Okay, so now if you want to do beads, you're going to have to take that apart to string your beads, obviously. We'll keep working on our stuff here. I'll decide what I'm going to do when I get to that knot. I was hoping I'd have enough. You always kind of want to make sure you have enough, but I misjudged. And that's all right. Maybe I can put a bead over the knot, depending on where the knot lands. On here. I'm going to trim the tails off of that. Oh, my knot came undone. Hang on. All right. I put a couple surgeon's knots in there this time. See if that holds it better. Hopefully, it doesn't weaken it. I like how this one's turning out. Maybe it might line up there. We'll see. Well, will you look at that? It landed on a knot. That's a little too perfect. I am worried about its stability, but we will see what happens. Wow, I got lucky on that one. Sometimes they're in the middle of the web. I rarely don't pull enough sinew, but it's kind of been an off day with crafting, I'm not going to lie. I've kind of had a little bit of an off day with it. But that's all right. we'll get there. I'm tired. I had a long week, and my day off is almost over already. It goes so fast. Like I said, oops, I didn't get through the, gotta go through this here. I guess this is going to kind of be a little more of a, maybe more of a craft along. Not doing a lot of tutorial. There's not a lot tutorial to do with the Dreamcatchers. It's more just kind of your own creativity and what you want to do with it. So it kind of just depends on where you want to go with it. We got a couple more rows. I think I might do a little row of smaller beads here. Sticking in my finger. Let's see. One more. And you can kind of tell where your row ends or where your circle ends to start a new one. Even just kind of by looking at it, you can kind of gauge it and see. Kind of wish I would have left these a little longer. I could have just tied a feather off of that. Maybe I still can. I'm just going to leave it. Now, I do believe I'm going to go one more row and then I'll put beads on. I'll go a whole nother row here. And you can kind of unravel your little ball of sinew as you go, as needed. There we go. I'm going to add maybe to my next row. I think I might go one more without beads. And then I'm going to put some more on. I think the thing I like about Dreamcatchers, to make Dreamcatchers so much, is they're so relaxing. It's almost like a meditation of sorts. It's real relaxing to do and very, your thoughts just kind of go in with each web you string. It's always good to have good thoughts when you're doing things like this. You want good energy put into the things that you create. I'm going to do some beads. So I got to unstring my sinew here. Oop. Use some of these tiny ones. Sometimes they go on, sometimes they don't. Try a different one. Oop. Oh, whoops, I tied that on the wrong. Put it on the wrong web. There. This one moved on me too. Always keep an eye on them, make sure they're not moving. My end's a little frayed. I'm gonna give it a snip. Make it nice and easy to thread again. Yeah, that helped. All right, I'm going to keep working on mine. Wonder how your guys's are turning out. I wonder sometimes when I make these videos what your guys's look like. I hope they turn out pretty cool. I have no idea what the husband is watching out there, but it sounds like a dude flick. A lot of swearing and a lot of fighting. Maybe an action movie or something. He's watching some movies. Okay, that's it. These have got to be trimmed. I always am dropping beads. I just dropped another bead. Since my, my cat Shade, he's been in this crate in my room for like a month, and so my husband will come in and hang out with me when we feed him his dinner and stuff, and he'll be hanging out and he'll be like, "There are so many beads on your floor, I swear." It's like, well, they're tiny. They're kind of hard to hold on to. So always finding beads. He's like, "Hey, do you need this?" And he'll pick up the tiniest little bead, and I'll grab it and I'll just throw it in the trash. Bless his heart. He's leaving looking after me with my little beads, making sure I don't need them. Like that one little tiny bead would make a difference. I mean, sometimes it does. I don't know. It might sometimes, but See how it gets so tiny as you move along down the row, smaller and smaller. Couple more beads and then it'll go fast again. The beads kind of take some time if you string a lot. I like a lot of beads on mine because you know me, I love beads. And funny thing is I still have 3 more after this to make in order to put it all together. And I will go over with you guys how to put everything together and make it look nice. How to attach your feathers and things like that, how to hang it, how to combine your dream catchers to make a big one. So we'll kind of go all through all that stuff. This bead's got a tiny little hole. I'm probably taking wax with me. Indeed I am. Big old glob of wax on there. If you get too small of a bead, it'll just kind of scrape the wax right off your sinew on the way. Alrighty, there I got my circle of beads. Oh, that's pretty. I love it. I'm going to keep working around my circle here. I'll probably do a couple more rows and then call it good. Oh, whoops, I need one more bead. Need one more. Put one on here. Where's my end? There it is. That's a really tiny hole on that. There we go. Oops. The wrong way with my thread. All right, there we go. getting tired, I think. Kind of messing up a lot. Try that again. If it gets real tiny towards the middle here, it gets a little harder to do. After a while, your hands get so waxy from the sinew. And it doesn't help that my heat is up so high for some reason. Pretty sure my husband cranked it up. He likes to crank up the heat late at night for some reason. I don't get that cold, but he seems like he acts like it's the Arctic or something. In my room, for some reason, my craft room, it's super warm. The heat works really good in this room, which is awesome in the wintertime. In the springtime, not so much. I like this one. It's turning out really pretty. I love it. I'm probably going to do a few more rows, make the hole a little smaller. There, the heat clicked off. Yay. I get that in there. Here we go. And it gets easier as you get towards the end and you start getting, the sinew starts getting a little shorter. I mean, mind you, that's not the case with me because I had to add some more to mine, but that's all right. I think I'm just going to put a feather there and that'll hide that not nice. Now, let's see, where am I? Well, that one's acting stupid. What is it doing? There we go. To line it up correctly. And it's good to be in the right frame of mind for these too. They tend to turn out better when you're in a better mood. I'm in a good mood today, so this one's turning out really pretty. It's weird how that kind of stuff works. I think it's that way with a lot of creativity. It's about the energy you're putting into it, and if you're putting in the wrong energy, the creativity will reflect that. I think I'm almost where I want it to be. Getting closer. I'm glad you are so patient and have watched me thus far. I appreciate it. Spend a little time together, I guess. Never hurts to have a online friend, even if it's you're just watching each other do stuff. I know the world can be a lonely place sometimes, so hopefully I can help keep you company and help you make some cool stuff. I kind of like when it starts getting small like this. It's a lot more intricate, but the details are so nice. It doesn't hurt to give it a decent tug now and again too. It kind of makes sure everything's going into place. And some people like to keep a bigger opening and some like to do a real small one. Like I said, that's entirely up to you how you want to do your center, what you want it to look like. I kind of just do it as I go, kind of see what it looks like and if I like it. I really like that. It's turning out so pretty. I think I'm going to call it good there. I like it the way it is. Beautiful. Okay, so I just tie a knot. Just that simple. I just bring it through. Where you left off and just keep tying knots. I like to do a couple. I like to do at least 2 or 3. Make sure it's nice and secure. And that, my friends, is how to make a Dreamcatcher. Now, what you can do is instead of cutting this last thread here, you can use that to hang a charm or a feather or beads or whatever you want to do. That's just an idea. It's up to you if you want to leave that on there. I'm going to trim mine. I always kind of leave them on there until I'm done. If, say, I'm adding another Dreamcatcher or whatever, I like to leave mine on there, and that way that will determine if I want to add. See, like this one, I left the little guy, I left that one for him. And that'll kind of determine for me if I want to add something. And then if you do, that string will be there, you know, which makes it nice. Now, I'm going to finish my last 3. I literally have 3 more of these to make. This is going to be a really elaborate Dreamcatcher, but it is going to be gorgeous. So I'm going to finish my 3, and then I'm going to come back and I will show you guys how to assemble everything, how to put stuff on the sides, how to hang feathers from down below, how to put a hanger on the top, and also, like, you know, what I'm doing, how to connect Dreamcatchers. Like, if you're going to connect the Dreamcatchers together, kind of show you how to do that. Okay, so I will be right back. So it took me a few days. I kind of had a lot to do here, as you can see, but I did get my Dreamcatchers all webbed. I have my larger one here. I put these little bird charms on them. They're like antique ones. I don't know where I even got these. They're so old. I've had them forever, and I finally found a use for them. And so I kind of got these all done. They look really pretty. And we're going to put this beautiful thing together. And I'm going to show you guys how to connect Dreamcatchers to one another, how to attach any sinew, strings of beads, if you want some strings of beads coming down the side, any kind of feathers that you might want on there, and other beads, and how to hang it and kind of attach everything and do the finishing little touches on it. Now I have to stand up for this because there's so much going on, but I hope you guys can see okay. I can come in with the zoom if I need to for certain things. So first of all, I'm going to figure out my layout of how I want to lay these out. And I do kind of want to do something like this with them, okay? And then I'm going to add these 2 little guys over here on the side, I believe. I debated on that, on what to do with them. I was going to bring them down here like this, but then I thought, well, this one's not going to be able to hang freely if I do that. And I won't be able to hang as many feathers if I do that. And if I hang these up here, I can hang feathers from them. So for that, I had a little extra sinew here left over from my last one I webbed. And I do have my glue gun on because I am going to need my glue gun for this part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to do it kind of sideways so I can get it straightened on my side, is I'm going to figure out where I want these, what direction I want them to be going, and such. And I'm thinking something along those lines. I think I want to bring them down a little though. I think I might go about right here with them there. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to start by tying them together. So with the sinew, I'm going to bring in just a little bit. I know this thing's in the way. I'm sorry about that. Let's try that. That's a little better. So I'm going to take a piece of my sinew here. Just a little bit of it. I don't need a whole lot. I'm going to bring this through one of these, and then I'm going to bring it through the other here, like that. And this is just to kind of keep it where I want it. I think I'm going to go about right there, I think. And it's good to kind of hold them down as you do this so that they stay in place. And then I'm just gonna tie those together. Just gonna put a nice firm tie in that. And this is just to hold it there because I am gonna make it way more secure than that. And then I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna bring that down. through there, and then up through here again, like that. I kind of just want to make sure that this is going to stay together until I get my leather lacing here attached. And I'm just going to do another and one more knot probably. Just like that. There, kind of change your angle for you. And just kind of give that a snip. Now I'm going to do the same on this other one here. My sinew's sticking to my feathers here. And whatever feathers you want to use, I'm going to use turkey feathers, but I might use a couple of the duck feathers too. I have not decided on that yet. I'm thinking that looks good there. And we're going to bring this under. I'm going to double check my spacing. This one looks higher to me. I think we need to come down a little bit with it. There, that looks better. Probably about right there. And the decoration part is all up to you how you want to do it. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it. You do it however you want to do it. I'm just trying to make sure I'm straight. The first one's the easy one to attach. Good, I believe. I'm just going to bring that around again one more time, because I want these to hold tight until I can get my leather lacing on. And there we go. Perfect. Now, to make sure it looks the way I want, I'm going to take a piece of leather lace here, and I'm going to go in through here and over this to attach it, because I want to make sure that looks nice and clean, and I want to keep it looking good. So we're going to need our hot glue gun for this one. Now, got all this stuff in my way here. Bring my gun over. Now, basically what you want to do, I'll bring you in a little, is you want to take your leather lacing, and you don't need a very big piece, so I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. like that. And you're going to do it like you would when you wrap it. And I'm just going to, whoops, I'm caught on the, there we go. I'm going to put a little bit right here of my glue. And then I'm just going to set this right on top of that. Just like that. And, you know, we can clean away whatever excess may have squeezed through there. And then I'm going to bring my leather lacing through the web here, through the Dreamcatcher. Like that. And then I'm going to do that on this side. Like that. Okay. And that way we're going to attach that. Oh, what we got going there. It's a little bit different there. And then what we're going to want to do is I'm going to trim this. Trim this side a little more. There we go. I'm going to put a little dab on there. Like that. And just bring it over. Just hold it there for a second, let it kind of dry, and let it take its hold. I have to bring my chair over. My back is hurting. Okay, now I'll take this and we'll trim this one also, like so. It's going to go about to the center, perfect. And then we'll put a little bit of glue right there. And just seal that up. And that's how we're going to do the other side too. And that way it'll look nice and clean. And it's going to secure that and hold that really nice. Try and hold that down a little bit without burning yourself. And see, that's nice and secure on there. Now, I had to trim that. There's something, or it's a feather or something sticking to it. So there's that, and we'll do that on this side. So if you remember, I gotta just hang on. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna do the same. We're gonna just do a little bit of glue here. That's probably too much, but whatever, it is what it is. It'll come off. Just kind of set that there. Let it sit for a minute. Yeah, that was way too much glue. If you don't have a low heat glue gun, don't touch the glue like that. You'll burn yourself really bad. But luckily I have a low heat one, so I can do that. But if you don't, that's probably going to hurt. And bring our lacing through the web. Just like that. And I might get interrupted with you today, guys, because the Shade is getting out his pins. And the vet might call to come pick him up. So luckily he doesn't have to stay the night. But I'm excited to get him home without a pin in his arm. I've seen enough of that for a lifetime. Give that a little trim. That's about perfect. You want it, when you trim it, you kind of want it to go there. You don't want it to overlap too much. And just a little dab will do us here. And bring that over. Whoops, put my thumb in it. Bring that over. And hold that there for a second. There we go. There we go. And then get all the glue off of your fingers. And we'll trim this too. Still have glue on my fingers. I put my fingers in that when I set it there. Give that a trim. And we'll bring it over and secure that with the glue also. And I always kind of hold this. Ouch, that was a little hot. Even the low heat can burn you. Let's sit there for a second and cool down. And I think that's all I'm going to need my gun for, my glue gun for. I don't know. I'm going to unplug it, and then if I need it again, I can plug it in. So that is those attached there. So that attached those. Real nice, looks good. And it's nice and secure. It's not like swinging around or anything. So we got that attached. There, unplug that real fast. Now, get this out of the way. There, geez Louise. Now I'm going to attach my other dream catchers, I believe, just so that I know where I want to put my feathers and stuff. So, I've got to adjust the camera. So we got these two also to attach. So I got that one up there, and I need to attach this one, and I want to attach this one right here. And then I'm going to attach the other one below that. I hope we have enough table space here. Now, when I attach my dream catchers, I want them to hang freely. I mean, you could do them like this where they're secure and they don't move at all. That's up to you. I want these to be able to spin and hang freely also. So I'm going to attach those just with a sinew. Now, find a piece of sinew here. Throw these scraps away here. Now what you can do is, if you wanted, because I'm just going to put a little piece right here, you could put a few beads and stuff in between if you wanted. I'm not going to do that today because I don't feel the need to do so. So I'm just going to, you got to find your center. I got to turn this to my direction so I can find my center. And I screwed up because I had this hanging like that, but that's okay. I can move that if I need. But I kind of like it off to the side. Maybe it was meant to be. I think it was meant to be. Okay. And are we facing the right direction? I think this was the way, yeah, this was the way I wanted it to go. And you make sure that you have everything where you want it. Thinking about right there. Now with this, I'm going to just debating on doing a hoop. I think I'm just going to tie it. So I'm going to take a piece of sinew. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my piece of sinew here, and I'm just going to put the two ends together like that. And I'm going to leave this hoop right here at the top. I'm going to stick that through here. I can get it through. There we go. Just like that. And then I'm going to bring my two ends, and I'm just going to bring that towards me and pull tight. And that'll create our hoop. I hope you guys were able to see that. Now I want to cut this. I'll wait to cut it here. I'm going to make sure we're straight. I want to go about right here, I believe, with my other Dreamcatcher. I'll bring that through there, just like so. Just debating on the distance between them. Depends on how long you want it to be. I don't know. I might go a little more than that. I don't know. I kind of like that. I think I'll keep it. Maybe a little, about right there, maybe. I don't know if that looks centered with these two, though, is what I'm debating. Thinking that is going to be a little more. I think I need to move my sinew a little bit. So like I said, I take my sinew, and you got a little hoop at the top, and you got your two ends down here. Okay, and I have to recenter this. I got to make sure it's centered. Me and my cricket eyes, it always complicates everything. So I'm going to stick this hoop end, sticking the hoop end through the web on my top one, and then I'm going to, what's going on here? I think I have a knot, maybe not. Okay, and then I'm going to take the other ends and stick it through the hoop, just like that. I think that's centered. That looks pretty centered. And then I'm just going to, kind of bring these up a little, or closer to each other, and then just kind of pull it tight. And I want to make sure that that is hanging below down here instead of up at the top here. I need to adjust this. Bring that, so you want that hoop to land down below your, I'm not going to tighten that until I know that that's centered. That looks better to me than the other one did. I'm going to just kind of give that a gentle tug like that. So now we have a little string here to attach our next Dreamcatcher. And you can attach them this way. You can attach them with the leather strap and the glue gun and make them really secure and tight. It's up to you how you want to do it. It is your project. Do what you want with it. I'm deciding on my distance here. I think that looks good. I'm going to bring both my ends up through where I want it to be. I want it about right there probably. So I'm going to just knot this. So I bring my sinew up and under, so it's over the top, and then I have it coming up from underneath. I think I'm going to measure that so I know the distance for both of them. Looks like 1/2 inch. Yep, okay, so 1/2 inch. That way we have future reference. And I can't get these apart, so I'm going to make sure we're at our 1/2 inch. Right there. I'm going to bring this underneath here. And then I'm going to bring it through there. Just slide my sinew over. Looks good. We're just going to kind of put a little knot, and then we're going to do that again. Like that. There we go. Get nice and tight. Oh no. I have a cat scratch on my finger and I just opened it up. Let me clean that up. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. I gave both my kitties one of these duck feathers to play with, and they loved them. And I was playing with them, and one of them got me on my finger. And when I went to pull this, I snapped it open with that. This knot is not working. Okay. I'm going to pull these apart and just put a couple tiny knots to keep it in place, because we need that to be secure. There we go. All right. And that is those all attached. I have one more to attach. Let's see how pretty that is. All together. We haven't even added the feathers yet. I'm going to do that real quick, like with this one here. Let me trim that just a touch. There we go. And we will move on to more fun things like feathers and beads. I think I can get away with this tiny little piece of sinew instead of cutting one. I am going to try. Now, when you do the third one, you want to make sure that you're going to be lined up and centered. So what I'm going to do is just go right there. You can eyeball it, you can measure it. Depends on how, like you could take a ruler and say, oh, probably about there or whatever. You know, you could get really technical with it, but you don't have to. I'm just going to go right here. And I folded my sinew in half. And then I leave this little hoop up here. Leave this little hoop here. And then just bring my sinew through. And I like to make sure my sinew up here is kind of close together. And I just kind of gently pull on it and make sure that that little knot is at the bottom of the hoop. You don't want it like up here, up high up here. You want it to hang low down by the base of the hoop. Now, this one I don't believe. I think we need to go, I think I want it this way. And make sure your dream catchers are facing the direction you like. I'm going to bring my ends up through the bottom here. And I want to make sure I messed up at the top. That bird was supposed to be centered, but I put my sides on. I didn't pay attention to that, but that's okay. Happy accidents happen, and sometimes they happen for a reason. I need to move up about to there. And we'll have our 1/2 inch distance. I'll bring my thread underneath this thread and pull. And this isn't going to be a tight knot. This is just to secure it where it needs to be. That's perfect. I'm going to hold that just to hold it. And I'm going to do that again. And then I'm going to separate my sinew threads and tie some more knots. Like that. And then I'm going to bring these apart. Sometimes they get stuck together with that wax. I can't see where there it is. Okay. And then I'm just going to tie these into a standard knot. You could do a surgeon's knot if you wanted to be really particular about it. Go. That. And we'll give that a little snip. And now they're all connected. I'll bring you out here. And let me bring you up. And I can show you. So that, well, maybe I can't show you. I can lean you back, and that is all of them connected. Okay? And that way, see, the other two can sway freely. Now, the fun part. we're going to do feathers and beads. And this is the fun part. This is the decorative part. We're also going to add some leather lacing to it too. So, all right. Now I turned my, silly me, I turned on my glue gun again because I want to glue some feathers to some leather lacing. And the key with these, okay, if you're going to use leather lacing to attach feathers to, okay, so you can take your leather lacing and add a feather to it. The key that I use is that you want to get a bead that matches your work, okay? That's where the quill, this quill of the feather is going to fit into the bead, okay? I hope that makes sense. So basically, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the quill of that feather is going to fit through the bead and that your leather lacing can go through the bead. So we're going to have to cut our leather lacing down just a touch and make it a little thinner because it's not going to work otherwise. So I'm going to cut down my leather lacing real fast and I'll be right back. Now I want to be a little more specific. I don't want you to take your lacing and cut all the way down the center because it's not going to work. You just need to cut the tip, okay? Just enough. Don't cut your fingers. It's easy to cut your fingers on this when you gotta do this. Just enough to get those beads through. So basically, what you're gonna want to do is you want to cut your lacing enough to, those aren't gonna work. Get your beads through. So that's not going to work either. Maybe it will. Hang on. Sometimes you can pull them through, sometimes you can't. Yeah, there you go. So you want them enough to where you can pull that lacing through. You don't have to trim all of this. You just need to trim enough to get that bead up. Whoops, see? Because that's what happens if you trim it too much. It will rip. You just need to trim it enough to get the bead onto the leather strap. Okay, and then when you get your feather put on here, say you're going to put a feather here, you can just put a little dab of glue and glue that, and then you can push your bead over the quill of that feather and the lacing, the leather lacing. Okay, so just so you know, you don't have to trim the whole entire thing. And what I like to do is I like to put my lacing on and then I will decide which ones I need to trim and how long I want them and then kind of go from there. Now I got glue on my fingernail. I don't know if these holes are any bigger than these. Whoops. I think those are about the same. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start adding some leather lacing onto my work. I'm going to back us up here. You can see a little bit better. There we go. Now, I definitely want some on the side here, and I will take my lacing and make it centered. Find it centered. That one's kind of thick. Let's see if we can find that's a little better. And make it centered. That's a little long. I could probably do half of that. Yeah, I'm going to cut this one in half because that seems really long. So cut that one in half. So I'm going to find my center. So I'm going to connect the two ends. And I like to make sure that they're not curved or twisted, if that makes sense. And I'm going to take that, okay, and I'm going to find my two ends. I like these two ends here. You can put them wherever you want. And I'm going to bring my leather lacing through. I'm figuring out where I want them. I think I want to go a little higher. About right there. like that. And then I'm going to bring my end up and through that, right there like that. And then I'm just going to gently pull that together. And that's going to hold on your end or your sides to that. I'm going to do that again on this side to even it out. I'm going to take my leather lacing, I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to kind of pinch this little round part together. I'm going to figure out my directly across here because I want to be directly across from each other. I believe that about right here would be perfect. I'll pull that through. I'm going to take my ends and I'm going to stick them through that hoop like that, just like so, and gently pull. And that will create your two little leather lacing ends, okay? Now, I want to do that in another couple places, but I'm going to show you how to attach your feathers and beads real fast. I haven't even picked my feathers yet. I should probably pick out feathers. I know I want some white feathers. And I know these might be that's a little large for those. I'll hang those with the sinew. I want some of these pretty brown ones. These are so pretty. And I like to pick ones that have nice clean quill ends like that. Sometimes the quill ends are like flattened, or like this one. Sometimes they're a little misshapen. I like to pick out ones that are nice and shaped nicely. So always check your ends, your quill ends, and you can always kind of pull a little of the feathers off of the end if you want. I like to kind of keep that downy look about them. That's a really pretty one. And just kind of go through your feathers and decide which ones you like, which ones you think look pretty. That's a really pretty one too. And a couple of these white ones. I need to get a couple better white ones. Those are kind of not so good. The first one's nice. Like I said, take your time, enjoy the process. This is the part I love to do. It's just to decorate it, make it look pretty, pick out our designs. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Now I'm going to take my leather lacing, and I want to decide, do I want them both the same length? Do I want one higher, one lower, you know, for these two? I'm going to do one lower, one higher for these. So I'm going to snip, I might snip this one just a little bit. And then I am going to trim it. And I don't know if you've watched my previous videos, but it's like when I did the bag, where you just kind of add like a little point like that to the end. So you kind of add a little point to the end of it instead of it being straight like that. Okay? And I'm going to do that on this one too. Just be careful not to cut your fingers. There we go. Now I'm going to decide the length on this other side. That's about the same, I believe. I'm going to give it a little trim. Like that. There we go. Now I'm going to add some beads onto this. I don't know if these white ones will work or not. If not, I might have to dig around and find some other beads. And it doesn't hurt to have different colored beads and things on there. It's not going to hurt anything. You want to be careful not to pull too tight. I might pull too tight on it. No, that's all right. one there. And the heavier the beads they are, the more they're going to lay down that leather nice too. And you just got to be careful because you can't see that's just falling apart on me. Just falling apart. Come on. There we go. There we go. It's a little trick. You know, it's trial and error. We'll figure it out as we go. Now I have to check and see if I have more of these other beads. Okay, good, I did. I had about 5 more of these guys here. I like these little tiger eye beads. We'll see if I can get some on here. They might not fit on the leather, but I'd like for them to. Sometimes you just gotta work it through if you can. Here we go. Be nice if y'all could see what I'm doing, right? Here we go. Sorry about that. You're probably like, what the heck is she even doing? I can't even see it. Sometimes it helps to hold it from down here and kind of just pinch that bead up like that. Oh, go get Shade? Yeah. Okay. All right, gotta go get my kitty. He's all finished at the vet, so I will have to put you guys on pause. Sorry. You won't really be on pause. It'll be like 1 second difference for you for the video, but I will be right back, guys. I am back. We got Shade back home. He's a little bit loopy and weird from the whatever they give him when they put him in surgery or whatever. And they gave us some more anti-anxiety pills to give him. So I had to clean his cage because he thought to take it upon himself to dig through his litter box and spill his water and make everything a muddy mess. And so, yeah. But where were we here? So we were attaching beads to our leather straps here, our leather strapping. And I'm letting my glue gun warm up. It should be pretty much almost there. Almost getting closer. So what I want to do, I'm debating on doing single feathers on here like this, or to double them up like this, which, I mean, that can be well and good, but can also, thinking a different color would be nice to kind of add a little extra color to it. I'm trying to find some littler red feathers here that look nice. You kind of just have to dig through your feathers and pick out the ones that you like. Now we have a few. That one's kind of big. But yeah, sorry about the interruption there. We were kind of got interrupted again, didn't we? Seeing another small one. That one's kind of small. Let me get my bag of feathers. There might be some more in there. One's kind of tiny. I like those red ones. Those are pretty. That's a nice pretty, yeah, we'll go with that guy there. So I'm going to do that, I think, on there. So my glue gun looks like it's ready to go. I'm going to glue my feathers together first. Let me bring you in just a touch. So I'm just going to put a tiny little dab right there on the top of the feather. And I'm going to just set that one right there with it. That should hold those together nicely. And kind of stick to it and let that dry for a second. We'll do that with this one too here. A little dabble do ya on this. And we'll let that kind of dry. And while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to attach these little white ones here. Excuse me, sorry about that. And I want those on the shorter ones. So I think about like that. Should be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my leather and I'm going to just put a little dab on the end like that. And then I'm going to stick my feather on there like that. Try not to stick to it. I'll let that sit there for a second. And I'm going to do the same over here on my shorter one. Put a little dab of glue. Just like that. And then stick my feather to it. And I use glue gun because the glue gun dries really fast. Now, if you were to use like a tacky glue or a leather glue or something like that, then it's going to take a lot longer for your glue to dry. Now, these should be pretty settled in. So I'm going to glue those to the leather strap. Just like this. There we go. Oh, get myself wrapped up in it. And set my feather on that. Like that. Let that dry. Do the same over here. Feathers like to stick to you. It can be hard to work with them. They like to stick to you. Just like that. There we go. I kind of like to line it up nice with the quill. Doesn't have to be perfect though. We'll let those dry. And now I'm going to go back over to our white ones here. And I'm going to stick a little bit of glue. Not very much. You don't need very much at all when you do this part. Do a little bit here on the front and a little bit here on the back. Like that. And then I'm going to take my bead and slowly push that into that, like there. And then the other one we can just get the strings out of the way here. And then the one on top, I have another bead on top. I'm just going to put a little dab on either side. And then just push that bead into the glue. Just like that. And that'll kind of glue those beads together. And that'll glue that bead into place with the feather. And careful removing any excess because the feather might take pieces of your feather off. So that's attached there. And I'm going to do that over here on this one. There, bring you in a little closer. So I'm going to take my glue gun, put a little dab on the front here and a little dab on the back. And then I'm going to push this bead into that glue. And I go kind of slow. Kind of let it get that. That one didn't slide in as well, but close enough. As long as we kind of get it on there a little bit. And then I'm going to do a little dab, just a pinch on either side there, and push this bead into that. Just stack those beads. There we go. So our white ones are attached. Now I'm going to do that here with my other two. A little dabble do ya. I'll bring that down. And I don't know if that'll go over the quill. I don't think it will, but that's okay, because as long as it's got that look to it, it won't matter. And then we'll do that with the little white bead too. I don't know why I do the white bead. I just, how I roll, I guess. That way it's all secure. And that'll hold on to those really nicely. Do these real fast. I know, Shade, but you can't come out, buddy. He said he's got this next couple of days are crucial to him getting better, because he's going to be kind of weak still. And that we got to really keep him in his cage. I feel so bad for the poor little fella. He's been through so much. There we go. And this works even better with bigger beads, like say a crow bead or something. And there we have our first feathers. Yay, it's starting to look a little more like a Dreamcatcher. Now, you can add these wherever you want. It's up to you, wherever you want to add your leather lacings. You can also attach beads with your sinew. Now, at the bottom here, I want to do something really cool here at the bottom. I want to add a lot of feathers to the bottom, because feathers, right? They add to it. So I'm going to use sinew when I do this one. Now, where's my beginning to my sinew here? I can find it. There it is. I believe, yeah. And it's up to you however long you want things to be. I'm going to cut a few strips here. I'm going to just do that for now. Okay, so I got my first strip, and I'm going to kind of decide where I want these to hang. So this is going to hang about like this. I'm going to want quite a few feathers, I believe. Now, the key to this for me is when I put my, because you know, I'm going to put the two ends together and loop it around like I did on the other ones. But for me, the way I like to do it is I like to add a little height and depth to it. So I'll make one shorter than the other on the end when I connect, so that one feather is going to hang shorter than the other. So I'm going to go like this, where there's one end down here, there's one end up here, and I have my little hoop up at the top. Okay, so I'm going to just attach this. And I put my hoop up underneath and through one of the parts of the Dreamcatcher here at the top. And I take my end and pull that through like that. And then I always pull to where it's coming. This is flayed flat and I'm pulling towards me. so that it lays at the bottom underneath, like this, under here on the Dreamcatcher. So there we have 2 places to hang some more feathers. And I'm going to do that a few times on here. And I like a lot of feathers at the bottom. I'm a fan of the feathers. I think they add a lot of detail. They make them really pretty. And I'm not going to glue these or anything because I want to be able to adjust them and move them if I need to. So we're going to add a few. You can add however many you like. That is entirely up to you. If you like a whole bunch of feathers, you can add like 7 or 8 of them. If you want just a few, you could do 3. You could do 2. I find the more feathers on the Dreamcatcher, the prettier they come out. And the more full it makes them. It makes them look really nice and full and flowy. And they look really pretty when they're dangling and moving around in the breeze. And it really just adds so much to them. Now, I haven't decided how far I'm going to go with this yet. So we're winging it. We're just going to wing it. And like I said, it's all about your creativity. You know, it's about what you want the outcome to be, how you want it to look. You know, this is your project. You make it look however you want it to look. Now you can add seed beads or bigger beads to this. You can add feathers. However many feathers you want. You could do multiple layers of feathers. You could do, you know, like I did here where you have 2 feathers together to kind of layer the colors of the feathers. You could add completely different colored feathers. It's up to you. I think I'm going to add a couple more things of sinew here. I want a lot on the bottom of mine. I want a whole lot. I like a lot. So I think I'm going to cut a couple more here. 3, 4, 5. We'll try 7 and see how that looks. So, might have to do 8. Kind of depends on. You can do these equal, even if you want your feathers to hang even too. You can do them crooked so one hangs higher than the other. You can do multiple feathers going down the sinew to the bottom too. And I can show you more of that here in a second. And it kind of depends. It looks like it's coming out pretty even. I have to check here. I think we need one over here. And you can adjust these after you put them on if you want. If you don't like the way, I have to hold this for a second and see. Whoops, bumping into my light over here. I need one more. See, I thought it looked even and then I held it and it didn't look even at all. So, do one more here. Do one over here. And you can always adjust them after you get the Dreamcatcher hung too, and that way you can kind of make it look the way you want it. That's a good thing about these knots is they're movable and you can move them if you need to. Check one more time here. Yeah, that's better. Okay, now we're going to attach some stuff to it. I'll make it look prettier. So I got to decide what I'm going to do here and my length of my strings. I think I'm just going to just let it flow like it is. I'm going to separate these. Now, sometimes doing Dreamcatchers on the floor helps too, because then you have a lot more space to work with, which is one of my struggles right now, is the space. I don't have a lot of space here, because I want to even out my sinew a little bit, and I want to make sure that they're somewhat even. This looks like the shortest so far. Oops, sorry, bumping into ya. Jeez Louise. What I'm going to do, I'm going to measure. And you can do this too if you want. I'm going to measure, I'm going to go 12 inches for one. And then I think I might go with 6 for the other. So I'm going to cut mine. I'm going to go like this. And go 12 inches. And then for my other strand, I'm going to go, I'm going to go 8 actually. 6 seems kind of low, but let's go with 7. I'm going to do 12 and 7. I'm going to do that with all the rest of my sinews real quick. All right, so I measured all these out, 12 and 7 inches. You can do however long that you want for yours. Now, for these, I'm going to add some feathers. Now, I'm going to just take one of my strings here, and I have my 7-inch one and my 12-inch one. Now, it's up to you. You can add different feathers if you wanted. I think I'm going to stick with these turkey feathers because I really like them a lot. But before I do, the thing about these is if you wanted to add a feather up here and say a feather down here, you could for one strand. All you would have to do would be to take your sinew and tie your feather on, and then you could take your sinew and tie a feather onto this one. So that's entirely up to you how you want to do it. Now, I'm not going to do that. I instead am going to add beads. So for mine down here, bring in just a touch here. So for mine down here, I'm going to add one of these hair pipe bone beads on here. Okay, let me think. Hang on. I'm thinking. The gears are turning. What do I got here for beads? I got some pretty beads. I'm going to put a few of these small ones on here. They take a little bit of time to thread and stuff, but these are really pretty little beads. So I'm going to attach a few little beads. I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 of these each. because I do have a lot of these little ones. Sometimes it's hard to get through the center of them. Okay, that one's not meant to go on there. Crafter's logic, I guess. Here we go. I'll do one more on there. Try this guy. Maybe not. I have a hard time seeing them. It's so cloudy today. It's not very bright today where I'm at, so it's hard seeing. There we go. So I'm going to add 3 of those. I'm going to add a hair pipe bone bead. And you have to add your beads before you put on your feathers. And then, now for feathers, what am I going to do with myself? I really like these because they match it so well. So I think I might do one of these and do the white. I don't see a whole lot of white here. We could do, ooh, see the gears turning. You can hear the gears turning probably. Might do 2. I might just do 1. I'm thinking it through. See, I have a really big quill here. Sometimes you can pull that excess off on there. Like that. I'm just going to do 1. So I'm going to tie this on here. And tying them isn't too difficult. You just, I like to start my knot. Pull that up a little. I like to start my knot, and I try to keep it close to the bottom as I can. Not like that. Come a little closer. That should be good. And then I just slide my quill into the little hoop I have here. Bring in. I've pre-tied it. I got a little hoop here. And I'm just going to put my feather in there. And I am going to, now the sinew likes to get caught up in the feathers, the down of the feather. And I'm just going to tie a really nice knot there. And I'm going to tie another knot into that. Just like that. And probably a 3rd would not hurt. Now I'm not going to trim that just yet. I'm going to just trim it just a little. Don't cut the whole thing off. You just want to basically a little above where the quill is. So I have that tied in, and I'm going to leave a little bit of this tail about like that. Okay, just a little bit above the quill. And I'm going to take my sinew, and sinew sticks together really well, so you can just kind of twist it together. See how that twists together nice like that? And then you're just going to take your glue gun and just put a tiny little dab right over that knot and up that quill. And then bring your bead down over that and let it dry. Just like that. And that is our first feather right there. Now I'm going to use these dark feathers. I might do all different colors. I haven't decided yet. I kind of play it as I go. And I'm going to do my 7-inch one here. Now, this has kind of a funky quill on it too. Sometimes you just got to peel off a little bit of that excess skin. It sticks to the quill. And so I got my quill groomed. I want to add beads. For my beads on these, I have quite a few of these, so I'm running low on those. I gotta check and see if I have any more of these other ones. Okay, I'm gonna check here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, I have plenty of those. Okay, perfect. So what I'm gonna do with these, I'm gonna use one of these and one of these, I believe, for the 7-inch one. So I'm gonna, whoops, put this one on first. I'll follow it up with this one, like that. And then I'm gonna pre-tie my knot. So I'm gonna pre-tie this knot like I did with the other ones, or the other one over here. I'm gonna leave enough to have a hold on it, at least to be able to hold on tight to it to tie another knot. And I'm just gonna tie that. That's a little too close for my liking, actually. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna bring it further down. There we go. And set that feather in there. Give it a tie. I'm going to tie that again. See, that downy likes to get up in your way. And one more time. Maybe. There we go. And then I'm just going to trim it a little above the quill, like last time. And I'm going to kind of twist it together, the sinew. Go. And put that little dab of glue right over that knot. Make sure I'm on the right side. Just a dab. Just like that. I'm going to bring my bead down. I like to kind of give it a twist. Oh, my tail went. Oh, well, that's okay. And then this should go right in there. I think I'm going to put a piece of glue on there, though, just to make it nice and secure. Just a little touch of glue. Here we go. Looks good. I'm going to just trim that. Try not to cut the feather. And there are my first 2 longer feathers on there. Just like that. And these are going to be hanging from my bottom. And I'm going to finish doing the rest of all these here. And then I'll come back and we can continue adding our decorations and finish it off. Well, I got my feathers on the bottom done here. This is so large, it's hard to get all on film. But as you can see, I got all my feathers done down there. And then I decided to also add some of this leather strap with some feathers off of these two little ones. Now, there aren't very many more steps left. I just wanted to make sure to go over with you guys all the different possibilities that you can use. You can pick and choose which ones that you want to add to your own dream catchers. You can probably hear Shade pitching a fit in the background. He wants to join us, but he's got to stay in there, unfortunately. So there's only about 2 or 3 more things I wanted to show you. Now, up here at the top, I like to add, I'm going to add some more leather strap to the top of this here. I'm going to move you around a little bit here for a second. Okay, I think maybe you can see that a little better. Zoom in a little bit. And all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add some leather straps at the top. And I've cut these to the size that I want them. They are about 8 inches in length. Now I'm going to do the same I did on these. I want to make sure I get them where I want them first. I definitely want to make sure that they're going to be centered and in place. I'm thinking that that looks like a good place for them. I know, buddy, I know. It's about right there. I'm going to fold this and bring it through. And loop it like I did on the others. Actually, I went the wrong direction when I put that on there. My mistake. You want it to lay flat. I want these to lay flat. So I'm going to come up from underneath with my hoop. Like that. And you gotta pull these kind of tight so that they stay. There we go. And then it's like the center on that. I'm just getting these centered real quick. Bring those through. Like that. There we go. And then this last one here. And I'm just going to attach beads to these. I'm running low on beads. I don't even know 2, 4, ooh, 1 short. I'll have to hunt one down. Again, that's going to be too close. It's about going in between the webs, so I got to go over here with this one. Okay. And it goes right there, like so. And then I'm gonna trim these like I do with the other ones at the bottom, just to get the beads on a little easier. Hoping maybe I can go out and get a walk in. It's actually kind of nice today. I did see the sandhill cranes leaving this morning. Obviously, it's not all of them, but there was a big group of them flying over the house. They were headed west, and they did that when they came in, and I'm assuming that they're leaving because they're heading out. And it's getting nice, so that's probably why. They probably know it's time to go. Time to get going. All right. I'm going to check and see if I got one more of these beads here. All right, guess not. That's okay. It is what it is. So I will use, I'm just going to use one on each of these. And that way, I won't use them all up. I got plenty of these bone beads, so we'll do... And these aren't going to be... I'm not going to add feathers to these. I'm just going to do the beads. So I'm just going to put these on like this. And get that through there. That's trying. There we go. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot at the bottom, which can be hard to do. I didn't give myself a whole lot to work with because I didn't want these very long. But we'll get it. Like that. There we go. And then I'm going to bring the beads back down. And that's what I'm going to do with those. And then the second one on there, I'm going to put the bone beads. Not sure how many I want to put on here. Probably just 2. Just put 2 of these on here. And so this is a little decoration that you can do at the top of your Dreamcatcher. And it just adds a little bit. You can put feathers on here. You could do just beads. It's up to you how you want to do that. It's, you know, it's like I said, it's your creativity. You play around with it and see what you want to do. Can't get that one up there. I don't know if these will work. We're going to make them work. We're going to make it work. Make it happen. No, maybe not. Maybe I'll just do one. That way you have a little idea of how you can decorate. I wanted to kind of go through all the different types of embellishments and decorations that you can do to really add to your Dreamcatcher and make it awesome. Now, as far as these go, you can make them as long as you want. You can make them short like I did. You can make them whatever you want. I'm going to finish attaching my beads onto these 3, and then I'm going to come back and show you what I have planned for the rest of it here. All right, got that finished. Add a little bit of extra little something to the top there. Looks real pretty. I like it. Now for my last embellishments, and you can add as many of this as you want, as little as you want. It's up to you. I'm going to set this aside. Just kind of keep it from getting in any damage. And the next thing I'm going to do, stick my face in the camera a little bit, is I am going to add some seed bead strands. Now, what I like to use for this, I don't use sinew, and because it's harder, way harder to thread seed beads onto sinew. I'm going to use a size D Nymo thread. Okay, and you can make this as long as you want. I'm going to take some of that, and then I'm going to start beading. Now, I'm going to do a few strands of these. This might take me a little bit, but I'll just kind of demonstrate how I'm going to go about this here. Let me get my bead pad, because otherwise my beads are going to roll away. And I like to do this because it adds a little bit of, a little more extra beads to it. And I love beads, so I like to add a little extra beads to it. I don't wax up my thread or anything like that. I am just stringing beads. That's all this is going to be, is just stringing beads. So I'm going to use my big eye needle here. And I'm going to just thread that up like so. And I'm going to put a knot at the bottom, or yeah, I'm going to do a knot. I was debating on doing a bigger bead, but I think I'm just going to do a big ugly knot, because I don't know if that'll fall through. Let's try it. We're going to put a bead on here, see if it'll fall through. Nope, looks good. And I'm just going to start stringing beads, and I'm going to go the length I want to go with them. I'll show you how I'm going to do this here. It'll go pretty quick here, and then we're almost finished with it. I'm doing a rose pink and a brown for mine. I thought this rose pink went really well with those cat's eye beads. And I always like to add beads to mine like this. I like the seed beads with it. I did add seed beads onto the center of my big one, and that takes a long time with that sinew. And you just keep stringing them. And I'm going to take my Dreamcatcher here, and I'm going to kind of gauge how long I want this to be, because I think I'm going to hang him right here, and I want to go a little longer than that. I'm thinking probably about there. Might go a little longer, we'll see. And then I'll show you what we're going to do. My husband comes in and he saw my Dreamcatcher. He's like, "That's the most beautiful Dreamcatcher you've ever made." And I was like, "Really, out of all the other stuff?" And he's like, "Well, you haven't made them in about 20 years. So he was like, "It looks really cool." He liked it. So that's a plus. I said, "Well, I'm keeping it. I would like to give them away, but I'm keeping this one." I think I'm going to go about 5 more maybe. Puts us out there. I'm going to go a little more. I want it to be a little bit longer. Just about 5 more of them. Okay, so that's the amount of beads that I want for my Dreamcatcher here. Now I'm going to zoom you in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take my, oops, I think I came in too far. There we go. It wasn't focusing. I'm going to take off my needle here. I think I cut too long of a thread, but that's okay. And what I'm going to do is what we usually do to attach our other things. I'm going to snip a little off of that. And I'm going to make that hoop at the top of the thread. See, my beads, I strung her down here. Like there's a little knot that I strung it from. And so I'm going to leave that on one side and leave this side empty. And I'm going to kind of put a little hoop kind of close to those beads, not too terribly close, but kind of close. And then I'm going to bring that about where I want it to be. And we can bring the hoop through, okay, like that. And then you want to pick up your end with your beads and your other end, pull that through. Now, as you're pulling, you want to make sure those beads are going to land on the other side. So you want to pull those through. You got a bead stuck over here, like that, and then bring it down like so. Make sure that hoop doesn't get stuck in there. I got a trouble bead here. It's giving me troubles. There we go. And you can adjust it after you get that hoop. Now, if I wasn't showing you what I was doing, I'd probably just string my string and then bead it from the Dreamcatcher, because that makes it way easier. But you can maneuver it and manipulate it if you need to. And that is how you're going to hang those beads from the Dreamcatcher. I'm going to continue working on mine. I got to adjust this here. My end is a little too, I want it snug. There we go. You want to bring it snug and then pull it. I mean, you could bead the whole strand and then attach it, but you don't want the beads to be up in the hoop, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it hangs better if the strand is like that. And sometimes it takes a minute to adjust it and get it worked straight. But like I said, just me, if this was just me hanging out at home doing my dream catchers, I would just take both ends of the thread and thread them through and then bead them while they're attached to the dream catcher, just because it's easier to do that way. So that's how I attach my seed beads to my dream catcher. Now I'm going to finish doing my seed beads, and then I'm going to show you how to make how to hang it, and that will be the end of it. So I will be right back. I wanted to show you this really quick. This is my last string of beads here. I have my others attached. Now, what I did was I just did the little hoop and hooped it through and pulled the 2 strands down. Now, what I'm going to do is show you how to do this quickly. If you have hank beads, there's a real fast way to string them. Now, I didn't think of showing you this earlier, so I figured I should probably show you now, and it might make your life a little more simple. So I'm going to string my needle onto my thread here, okay? And then I have my hank. I'm about to the bottom of this strand, but I have my hank here, and we'll get to the bottom of it here. That's all I got left on this string. And what I like to do, this makes it really simple. I'm going to trim that end. Is I'm going to take my needle and I am just going to leave the beads on the string. Okay, I'm going to leave my beads on the hank. Try and bring you in a little. Sorry, I have to adjust my camera. Maybe so you can see a little better. Now, what I do is I just take my needle, and it's kind of tricky, but you get the hang of it after you do it a few times. And I just bring my needle through the beads that are on that string, that hank string. And then I take the string of the hank and I just pull that out of there and then string my beads. So that was the last one on that string, I believe. Yeah, it looks like it. So I'm going to start a new one here. We'll start a new string from our hank. Grab a hold of it. Pull that out of there. Whoops, some came off of there. That's okay. And so basically, you take a hold of your end. See, there's the end with the string. And I'm going to hold on to it with my other hand and take my needle with my other hand and just kind of string my needle through all the way. And then I kind of tip it upwards. And then I take where there's still beads connected that aren't on my needle. And I just kind of hold on to the ones that are on the needle. And I pull that hank string out like that. And then I just string my beads. And it's such a simple way. That's the great thing about hank beads is they make your life way more easy if you know the tricks of the trade. And this is just a real easy way to make strands of beads. And it goes so super fast. Instead of picking out one after the other, you can do like multiples at a time. And you'll have that strand of beads done in no time at all. And I think I got just a little bit more to do. We'll try that. See how fast that goes? That goes so fast. I mean, I think I've measured it was 5 inches of beads. So for 5 inches of beads, that's some quick moving. We are really close. I'd say 4 or 5. Try that. And then, whoops, that came off of there. And then when I get to my beads, see, I showed you before just to show you how to string them. But like I said, I do it the way I would do the others, where I take the little hoop and I hoop on my string. And then I start beading. Now, when I get done with my strand, a really easy way to finish that off, let me get this out of the way. That's all the beads I'm going to string on here. I just wanted a couple little fringes of beads on mine. A really simple way and kind of reassuring way to knot up this bottom is to treat it like you would, say, like a dangle earring with fringe. And you just want to skip this bottom bead instead of trying to knot and knot and knot and not have the knot be big enough and your beads keep sliding down. This is a really easy way to do this. So you skip that last bead, this last bead here. You skip that bad boy and then just bring your needle up through a few beads. You can go as high up as you want. I wouldn't go too high because you want to be able to get that needle through. I go probably about 7 or 8 beads. Pull your needle through that strand, and then I kind of pinch this bottom bead that we skipped, and then I tighten it up real nice, like so. There we go. And then I just pick it up and see my threads coming out right here. And I'm just gonna, I kind of hold that kind of tight, and then I just bring my needle through and do a couple whip knots there, just to make sure it's gonna stay. And that's a real simple way to get a strand of beads really fast if you have hanks at home. If not, unfortunately, you're gonna have to go 1 bead at a time. Another simple way that you could do it, if you don't have beads on a hank, if they're just loose beads, you could stick them in a not a very deep bowl, but a little bowl, and just, take your needle and just go like this over and over and over and over and over and over again, and you'll start getting beads on your needle. And that's easy to do if you're doing one color. If you're doing different colors, you're going to probably have to go 1 bead at a time. And then I come back up through a few more and snip it like that. And that's a real simple way to get a quick strand of beads. So that is where I am. I'm done. I'm not adding any more to this. This thing is the most extravagant most beautiful one I've ever made. But I am going to show you quickly how to do a hanger at the top. Now, you definitely want to hold on to your Dreamcatcher, okay? Like hold on to it and find your center. Okay, where is the center? Make sure it's even, make sure it looks good. Just hold it up, kind of eyeball things. And that looks pretty good to me. So I think I got my center pretty spot on with this right here. Now there's a few different ways that you can do this. What you can do, I'm going to use sinew, okay? And I don't know how long of a thread you're going to need. I don't know how high your ceilings are. You kind of have to take those things into account. If you're going to hang it from the, way up high, you might want a longer thread. If you don't want your Dreamcatcher to spin around, there's different ways you can hang it too. Now, if you want it to just hang and to spin freely and move freely, I would take just a piece of sinew and then you just tie a knot in the bottom, a really good knot. Make it sure it's a really strong knot. And then use your little hoop, bring it up and through, and use that to hang. Now, if you want it to hang flush and not move around as much or hang it like more against the wall, you can take a piece of sinew and tie a piece on one end, on one side, and then tie a piece on another and make more of like a triangle hanger like that, where it's going to not move around quite as much. I'm not going to do that today. I am going to make a standard hanger, and I believe that's too long. I'm going to cut that. And so I'm just going to make some knots. I like to bring you in a touch. This is my hoop end here, and then this is my end with the two. I kind of push them together, and then I just kind of wrap it around and knot it. And I'm going to do that probably twice. And you can always replace the hangers if they fall. Whoops, I totally missed my other knot. You always have to make sure you're lining up your knots. There we go. And then I'm going to take the two pieces apart, if I can. It's so sticky. There we go. And I'm going to take one end and the other end, and then I'm going to tie those two together a couple times. And that just kind of reassures me that it's not going to fall down. And it doesn't matter how big that knot is, because if you hang it from a hook, that will be hidden. And I'm going to just trim that like that. Then I'm going to find my center, which is kind of hard for me because my center is like right here. So I have to figure out a way to get that through. Well, what I'm going to do, if you hung a little piece of leather, sorry, the angle's a little screwed up. Maybe that's a little better. If you hung a little piece of leather like this, right, in the center, like I did, a really good way to get around that is I'm going to take my sinew. It's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit of a lighter color, and it's super dark out today because it's so cloudy. But I'm going to bring that underneath here, like that, okay? And then I'm going to take these two little pieces of leather and put it through that hoop, okay? And then I'm going to take my end here that I tied the big ugly knot on and stick that through the hoop like that. And as I'm pulling up, I like to keep my knot kind of in the center so it hangs a little better. And then I'm going to slowly pull that tight. And there we have a hanger for it. And that, my dears, is the Dreamcatcher. Let me see if I can get an angle to where you can see it, the whole thing. Hang on. All right, so I couldn't get it on film off of the stand, so I had to hang it on the wall and show it to you that way. And that is the final outcome of my Dreamcatcher. I hope all of you guys were able to make one, and I hope I was able to show you all the different ways you can embellish it and decorate it and just make it yours. And I hope you enjoyed the video today. I know it was a long one, but you know, good things take time, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Plus, it gives us all something to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And please give a like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to probably hang mine up in my room because I'm afraid that my cat's going to get to it. Maybe when she gets a little older, I can actually move it back into the bedroom where it belongs. But you know, it turned out really beautiful. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I am going to probably hang it up from a hook in the ceiling though, so that it can spin and flow the way it's supposed to. But well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. You take care.